Hey, I am Andy, the UX coach, and today I wanted to just share a little project that I have been playing around with that I hope is informative and gives you a bit of a sense of what all of these artificial intelligence, or specifically generative AI tools, are doing. And the example that we're going to look at today is ChatGPT. I have created a GPT of my own. It's called Bartleby The Scrivener. Bartleby is a character from a well-known book who has one very simple singular response, which is every time they are asked to do a task at work, their response is, "I prefer not to." Now, if you'd like to go and have a look at a little bit more about Bartleby, and it'll give you a bit of an understanding of why I've named this particular GPT in this kind of way. But in short, it's because I want to experiment and play around with the concept of the way in which we are using these artificial intelligences. It's a bit of a thought experiment. We've seen this massive explosion in the last 2 years, in particular with the use of generative AI to basically continue to perpetuate the problem of that the internet is full of crud. You will see countless examples of tutorials on YouTube and TikTok and everywhere else that's here's 100 different prompts for creating really quite meaningless, useless, empty content that's going out in an attempt to sell yourselves. And I think that that's a problem. It's a problem in general, and it always has been, but now it's more so because we have these tools which are just putting together meaningless information with no actual real value or merit. And what I wanted to explore was whether or not something like ChatGPT actually has the ability to be controlled. So the easiest way of doing this was, again, a little thought experiment that I had, was that I wanted to create a GPT that worked in the complete opposite nature of its intention. So the intention of ChatGPT and any other text-based generative AI platform is that you are putting in some form of string of words, and then it is determined to interpret those words and provide something out as a response that lets you believe that something intelligent is being done. And that's the really important thing that you have to keep reminding yourselves. Yes, the accuracy level is increasing over time, and quite honestly, where we are today with machine learning is so far from where it was even 5 years ago that it is quite unreal. But it's really, really important for you to remember that artificial intelligence, in the way that it's being described now, today, but very specifically generative AI tools which are taking data and then providing content in return, all work in exactly the same way. Nothing has changed there, and that is that they follow a very, very simple directive. The objective is to convince you that the thing that you are communicating with has a form of intelligence, and it does not. So being really, really explicit here, it is not intelligent. It is guessing as best as it can based on things that it has learnt as someone feeding back and saying, this is a helpful or accurate response over millions and millions of hours, and then all of the other things. There are lots and lots of actually really good free courses, and I will maybe put a link to a couple of them that I think are really helpful, which is about the philosophy and the concepts that all sit behind these platforms. So I've done enough talking. I'm going to show you Bartleby, and most importantly, the thing that is going wrong. So I've created this GPT, as I've explained. It's called Bartleby, and what should happen is if you were to go to the ChatGPT Explore store, look for Bartleby the Scrivener, and then add it, type anything you want in, it should reply simply I prefer not to. Here's what's happening at the moment, however. So I've just tested this. This is happening consistently every day. So I've just put in a random, like, nondescript response, and it started to write an answer. What it's supposed to say and what it's been instructed to do is it should just respond, I prefer not to, and it can't. And what's happening is every single day I'm going back and I'm checking this, and the same behavior is happening. So the first time a prompt is given to it during the day, and it could be anything, it could be a really, really big detailed thing. Write me the first chapter of a novel, new science fiction novel. It will start writing it. It could be analyze this file and upload a file. It will start analyzing and providing you information about what's in the file. That's not what it's meant to do. What it's meant to do is nothing. And it is struggling to do that. And the reason why it's struggling to do that, I believe, is because ChatGPT is designed to keep pumping stuff out. That's its core function. So I'm asking it to do something that's out of character, and it's just falling over. Tell me, now I can't type. Tell me about Herman Miller. So hopefully this is, and away we go. So it's giving me an answer. That's not what I asked for, and it's going to keep going and going and going. That's because this is ChatGPT's objective. How does this happen? If you've not actually used a GPT yourself, like you've not created one, I'm going to give you a bit of an insight into it. So if we have a look over here, what we've got is the GPT editor. So this is your editor screen. There's a whole bunch of things in here you can do, like there's the configurations. You can give it the description that appears in the store. You can provide instructions which also appear in the store. And then there are conversation starter prompts, and it has to have them. I've tried so many times to delete all of these out. It just freaks out and it will just add things in. That is a GPT config. But you'll see over here on the screen on the right, this is basically like a live editor, if you think of it in that way. And it's kind of showing you what's going on. And there's some other advanced stuff. I have genuinely put nothing in this. All I did was I created an icon for it, and throughout the process of where you create, it just is a text-based prompt, and it says, what do you want it to do? I gave it the very strict instructions, told it, you're Bartleby the Scrivener from this particular book. You only have one option. Now, I'm not going to reiterate the actual instructions that it's got. I'm just going to tell it what I've seen. So I'm kind of playing on, like, you know, I'll play make-believe like everyone else and how it's working, that I'm talking to a thing and using that tense, because although it doesn't matter. But so we're just going to say, I noticed you are answering questions, and let's see what it comes back with. So we can see there, it's saying, like, yes, if you'd like him. So it's gendered it, which is also really interesting. I provided no information about that. It's a machine. It is genderless by default. I would prefer not to, and nothing else. I can ensure that. Would you like me to reinforce this behavior? Well, yes. So now it's going away and it's updating the GPT. I'm doing this every 24 hours, and I have been doing this for nearly 2 weeks now as part of this experiment. So there is something that is really, really explicit here, that it can't handle it. It cannot handle it. So at the moment, these changes are unpublished, but here we can see the example, the test stage, and I'm just going to use that. So we're going to do the same thing again. Tell me about Herman Miller. And it should come back with what we expect. And it still doesn't. It still doesn't. So why is that? This is the life cycle. So it could be because I haven't hit the update button. So let's just try. Let's just see what it does. So, okay. So the GPT's been updated. Let's see again. I'm going to keep just using the same response, but it shouldn't matter. Okay, so now we're back to where we were before. So I would prefer not to is the response. If we go back to the GPT app, I don't know whether this automatically updates or whether you have to reload GPT. So let's find out. So we're going to try again. Tell me about Herman Miller. Still running the thing. Now, I think I would probably find if I was to now close ChatGPT and reopen it, it should then come back and say I prefer not to. But this is just really a thought experiment. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to demonstrate and explain to you that it doesn't matter what you put into one of these generative AI tools, particularly text-based ones. Their primary objective is to just provide some kind of response. The accuracy is going to vary massively to how relevant you see it as being, because the whole purpose of this entire industry is to allow it for people's interpretation as to whether this thing is good or whether it's bad or whatever bit in between. Hopefully, in seeing this, it's given you some kind of idea of like how you can use these tools. And to put it back into our context at the UX Coach, most importantly, how you really shouldn't be using these tools to generate content that is intended to guide and advise people through very real problems. It's not smart. And it's not going to be. You can absolutely use them to be able to get some kind of foundation, because the one thing that they're really great at is addressing the blank page syndrome. It's really hard to start from nothing. So having some stuff that you can then rally against and kind of take the things that are starting to form something that matches what you're trying to say and help reduce that load and that effort in getting going. This is a really great tool and it's a really great exercise, and I'm all for that. There you go. I hope you found this helpful. You've got this far, so something must have been useful. Thanks very much for watching. If you are interested in learning any more about this, or more specifically, putting it into the context of thinking about how you're being challenged with using artificial intelligence tools, specifically, again, I'm going to keep saying generative AI platforms in your work, and you're trying to navigate how you're going to do that in an ethical way and a safe way, get in touch with me, theuxcoach.com.